Good morning, everyone. I'm Riley King, and welcome to my morning news report right here on the Riley King Network. Let's begin. Iran launches missiles at U.S. military facilities in Iraq, Pentagon says. Officials said there have been no reports of American casualties at this time. Iran fired multiple missiles into Iraq on Tuesday evening, targeting U.S. military sites in what happened to be a retaliation for the recent American drone strike that killed one of its top generals. Now let's take a listen to this video from ABC News. Iran launches missiles at U.S. forces hours after commander's funeral.
In Iran tonight, meanwhile, they were quick to take responsibility for the attack. They had vowed revenge. The Iranian foreign minister, when asked by our Martha Raddatz just today if he was worried about an all-out war, he said that depended on the U.S. response. So let's get right to Martha. She's live in Tehran for us again tonight. And Martha, in your interview, the Iranian foreign minister said it would be Iran and not one of their proxies behind any attack that was coming, and that's what played out tonight.
That's exactly what played out, and the Iranians immediately took credit for this. They are calling this a great victory against the great Satan. Those Iranian rockets raining down tonight on American forces in Iraq come hours after calls for revenge rose up at the funeral of General Qasem Soleimani. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard now calling tonight's rocket attacks Operation Martyr Soleimani, warning the arrogant American regime that any new invasions and aggressions will result in more painful and pounding responses. Earlier today, Iranian media quoted a top security official saying Iran has 13 revenge scenarios, any of which would be a historic nightmare for America. I spoke with Iran's foreign minister Javad Zarif just hours before the attack. Are you concerned that a strong response from Iran will end in an all-out war?
It depends on the United States. The United States took an act of war against Iran. It will have to be prepared for the consequences.
The foreign minister with a warning to the United States.
Arrogance and ignorance, when combined, it's disaster. And this is what's happening in the United States. Arrogance and ignorance.
Martha Raddatz with that interview just hours before all of this played out. And so let's get back to Martha tonight. And Martha, you asked if they were prepared for all-out war, but did you get any sense what they expect in response from the U.S. now that this has happened?
Well, David, I think they are standing by. They say they are ready for any kind of response, but I absolutely do not get the sense that the Iranians want an all-out conflict any more than the U.S. does. David?
Martha Raddatz with us again tonight from Tehran. Martha, our thanks to you as well.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And now let's take a look at this report and video. Trump yet to respond to Iran attack. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
President Trump has now been briefed. He is meeting with his national security team. So what's next? Will the U.S. respond? ABC's chief White House correspondent Jonathan Karl live at the White House tonight. And John, what have you learned?
We're told the president has been briefed by his top national security advisors, including the Secretary of State and the Secretary of Defense, here at the White House in the Situation Room. Iran's attack tonight hit the Al-Assad air base in western Iraq, a place the president himself visited just over a year ago. Iran's move comes just hours after the president defended his decision to order the drone strike that killed General Qasem Soleimani. The administration is now under mounting pressure to present evidence that Soleimani posed an imminent threat.
What can you tell us about what you knew prior to ordering the attack?
Well, number one, I knew the past. His past was horrible. He was a terrorist. They were planning something, and you're going to be hearing about it, or at least various people in Congress are going to be hearing about it tomorrow. We had tremendous information. We've been following him for a long time, and we followed his path for those 3 days, and they were not good stops. We didn't like where he was stopping. They were not good stops. We saved a lot of lives.
But the president also suggested Soleimani was killed in part to retaliate for an earlier attack that killed an American contractor.
Ours was an attack based on what they did. We weren't the first one out.
Is the U.S. prepared for an Iranian attack?
We're prepared. We're totally prepared. And likewise, we're prepared to attack if we have to, as retribution.
But the president backed off his threat to strike Iranian cultural sites, something his own advisors acknowledged would be considered a war crime.
And you know what? If that's what the law is, I like to obey the law. But think of it. They kill our people. They blow up our people. And then we have to be very gentle with their cultural institutions. But I'm okay with it. It's okay with me.
The strike that killed Soleimani took place in Iraq, sparking outrage there and prompting the Iraqi parliament to vote to expel U.S. troops. Yesterday, the U.S. military sparked confusion by sending the Iraqi government a letter announcing that American troops would be pulling out. The Pentagon insists the letter was a mistake, a draft never meant to be sent out. Asked about it today, the president deferred to Secretary of State Mike Pompeo.
What was said yesterday, I didn't know about. I really don't know about it. What is that, Mike? What exactly was it?
I just know that there was a draft letter that was
a draft unsigned.
And the president said the Iraqis don't actually want the U.S. troops to withdraw.
If we leave, that would mean that Iran would have a much bigger foothold, and the people of Iraq do not want to see Iran running the country. That I can tell you.
So a lot of confusion involving Iraq tonight. They find themselves in the middle of this escalation between the U.S. and Iran, John. But that, of course, all secondary to what's playing out this evening. And the president is surrounded by his national security team right there at the White House.
The president's top national security advisors came here to the White House this evening to brief him on the situation following these Iranian strikes. But I have just been told, David, that the president does not plan to address the nation tonight on this attack.
All right, so the president will wait until tomorrow before we hear from President Trump on what's played out tonight. John Carl on the breaking news. John, thank you. And
hi, everyone. Okay, and there you go on that video. And that does it for my morning news report right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here later on today with more news report. Goodbye, everyone.